to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Need a motion?
So be it.
And second, all those in favor? I take that as unanimous. We have one item on the agenda, and that's employee wages and benefits. And I'm going to let Denny go ahead and start. He's provided information for you, including, okay, go ahead.
Okay, tonight I know that the discussion is about wages and benefits, but I do want to, well, first I want to say that the meeting is being broadcast over YouTube, so people understand that. And I want to just go over a little bit of some of the changes and the impacts on those changes based on your votes on Saturday. On Saturday, I had a sheet drawn up, and I'm providing it's a two-page thing in front of you. It's an analysis of the increases between 2017 and 2018. And you'll see that the total increase is 345 to 527. It's up from Saturday's 327 plus or minus. And that increase is due to the fact that the planning board, the appeals board, and the CEO legal trust fund, all of that money we had going in to offset the upcoming budget, you guys basically said put that into the general fund. So that increased the total amount that we had increased by 32,690. The other thing that I want to point out on this is that there are a number of new items here. You'll see that the $30,000 for the fire and rescue station reserve is new. The salt sand shed has to be, the debt surface has to be raised and appropriated because last year it was taken out of the reserve funds and we don't have them this year. The CEO wages, they went down a bit from what I had Saturday, quite a bit. The increase is only 14,000 from the current last year wages, well, 15,000, and so forth. Some of those will change based on tonight's, a number of those will change based on tonight's actions. The next page is nothing more than, if you look at the other line, the 74,153, that kind of tries to break out where that $73,000, how it's being spent. So I just wanted to give you that kind of detail over that. Now, the next thing I want to say is, we're going to discuss wages, I know. And I put the 3% with the full health benefits forward to you based on some informal discussions. And basically, a lot of it had to do with my experience so far trying to hire. It's been difficult to hire people. And you know, I've also heard, and, well, this shouldn't necessarily impact things, but I've also heard from other towns when I've run meetings and stuff, that, you know, I've talked to some employees who basically said that they didn't apply because Belgrade paying benefits aren't what they would
You mean the people from other towns didn't apply for our jobs?
Yeah. So I think it's essential that we have a competitive wages and benefit package. And I don't think we have one now. That's the reason why I put that forward. Having said that, the second spreadsheet here was put together by Melanie and I working together. Melanie actually drafted the spreadsheet. I'm going to let her go over it. This essentially gives you scenarios, 1, 2, and 3, 2.5%, 3% increases with different alternatives from the 80-20 to 90-10 and then 100%, and it kind of walks you through that. With that, if there's no questions for me on this one spreadsheet, it's pretty straightforward, and what I'll do is turn that over to Melanie to go walk through the second spreadsheet. Melanie?
So the list of employees that are permanent, either full-time or part-time employees, are on the left. The 2017 wages and benefits, and then I put an increase at 1, 2, 2.5, and 3%. On the right is the 2018 benefits at 80-20 if you keep it the same. The bottom number will tell you what the increase is going to be based on what we have in personnel policy now. The proposed benefits at 90-10 and the proposed benefits at 100%. The bottom is the difference. Bottom number is the difference from 2017. All those numbers.
he gives a stipend.
Okay, so it's not on
No. It's like the historian gets a stipend, the health nurse gets a stipend.
Gentlemen?
So, if I can, so if I read this right, I'm just gonna use a first name on the paper here. If we went with the 80-20 to 100%, it'd be an $1,866.60 increase, am I correct?
If you went from 80-20 to what?
100%,
pennies.
yep.
He's talking about
That-
going on the health side.
Health benefit.
Going on the health side.
Way on the
Yes,
right side.
essentially, it's $1,850,
It's $1,866.60.
well, whatever it is, but that's a set cost for everyone, that's the increase for everyone, every individual did that if you subtract it, I believe that's the case, right? That increase is the same across the board.
Right.
And then if you went with 90-10, it's $937.80. Okay, I would just want to make sure I was reading that right.
Where do you see it?
It's on the right,
Way over on the right, right up at the top here where it says 2018.
Yeah.
What I did is I took
The difference between.
Yeah, took the difference between,
100%.
yes, just to get some,
And if you did that for every employee, the same difference.
it comes out to $1,866.
It'll be a little bit different, but just dollars, because we also cover 100% of the income protection, and it's based on.
It's based on wages.
Right, it's based on wages.
So my next question is, don't we have a kind of a pool that takes care of what the insurance doesn't pay?
That's out-of-pocket expenses, that's listed here under HRA.
Okay,
On the first spreadsheet I talked to you about?
yes,
And we're funding that on this spreadsheet at $40,500, I think. The reason that's being done, fully funded, is because I wanted to show you what it cost if you did fully fund it. They only spent about 30% of that last year, and so my recommendation would be to reduce that to go to 40% funding, which is about $16,200.
let me go back to my question. My
Oh, I'm
question
sorry, I
is,
thought you were
no,
going there.
if we went with 100% insurance, wouldn't that go away completely? Why?
Because we have a $4,500 deductible with the insurance that we chose. We have the least expensive insurance that MMA offers, and it went from $3,500 out-of-pocket expenses per year to $4,500 this year.
It's pretty much,
Mine's 65,
Here's a $65.
no, 100.
I stayed in the Navy for 29 years.
Yeah. You paid for yours.
So Dennis, you're saying that it would be wise to change the HRA to 40% of that $40,000 figure?
you know, I wanted to show you what it costs.
Yeah.
right? It wasn't fully funded last year, and it's hard I asked Melanie what that funding was, and it's difficult to pull it out because she wasn't sure how Carrie had put it into the budget.
So
We
we
put
use,
it all in under benefits, including our taxes and.
So it was hard for her to figure that out, but, so my understanding is we spent, because she could look up the total amount, she can't look it up by individual, but she can look at the total amount of out-of-pocket expenses we had to pay for. And that roughly was $9,000, right? Out of about $30-some thousand, I think it was close to 30, whatever 9 times 35 is. And 31,500. That's roughly 30%, roughly. I mean, it's a little bit less, but. And we expect that experience rating every year. I have no way to know, but I can't believe that everyone's gonna expend $4,500 out of pocket, or we have a very sick staff.
That's why we went with that insurance, because it does have a deductible, and the town's actually spending less money because they're not paying the full amount.
Yeah, I remember that.
Howard, you had a question?
So the HRA basically is a pool that they draw from to cover the deductible?
Well, the money stays in our bank account, and when somebody has a need, then the group dynamic is who we go through, and they withdraw the money from our bank account as as needed to reimburse the employees.
For what is basically their deductible on their insurance.
Only for the portion that they need, they don't pay them the whole $4,500, it's only.
No, I understand, as it's needed. So this basically is saying that if you fund it at 100%, the employees are paying nothing for their insurance and nothing for the deductible.
They're paying nothing for their out-of-pocket expenses.
Well, we have it doesn't cover co-pays
Okay.
and
This is-
out-of-network and.
this
And in comparison to other municipal entities the size of ours, that's what's going on? Because that's, I mean, I know that in public education, that shift went to paying a portion of the premium and out of the employee's pocket, and no pool to pay for any deductibles.
I don't know what it is now, I really don't know what it is in school. This is based on what you've done in the past, the 35, you accepted an 80-20 in the past, an 80-20 payment on the health insurance itself, and funded the out-of-pocket cost.
But my question was, how does that compare to what's going on in other places?
I don't know, I can do that.
Okay, I thought you had done
Ernie may have
that.
looked at it before, I don't know.
I thought you'd done that, okay.
Marty,
Well, I came prepared.
last night,
I was just getting ready to eat supper. You called, thank you for calling.
But you had another night to work on it.
Well, no, I go home and go to sleep. Again, I gotta say, I am extremely disappointed with us sitting here and discussing this. And I'm gonna give you several reasons why. Review of employee benefits was done a few years ago. Extensive research was done and reviewed. As I recall, this took several months. We're gonna do it tonight, though. As you can see, I'm a little frustrated. The research was thoroughly analyzed and agreed to. The health insurance was partially self-funded, money that isn't spent, returned, which you just discussed that. Because of uncontrollable increases in medical insurance, it was agreed that employees that chose to participate pay a portion of the cost. Employees that opted not to participate, my understanding is they get reimbursement of some type. So they still get a part of it.
They have to have healthcare, so they don't get.
That's right. So employees that participate have skin in the game, basically. If you pay some of it, then you've got some skin in the game. If it's just a free ride, why not just take it? But anyway, this is what we spent a lot of time on analyzing. Another key factor was state used to pay 100%. They had reduced that to 80-20. Now maybe they've changed it back to 100%, I don't know. Other things taken into consideration were town employees have job security. Absolute guaranteed a job, because we absolutely have to take care of whatever this municipality needs, so you're not gonna lose your jobs. If the whole system blows up, you've got a job. And I'm just throwing out how things were analyzed in the past. They also have special rights afforded them. If you work for just most employees, this state is right to work state, and it also is if you work for me and I don't like you, I can bring you in and say, you're all done. Don't need you no more. For whatever reason I want to make up. But that can't happen here in municipal government. So that's another real benefit that the employees don't see. Pay scale established that time was on the high side, and the last time it was discussed, still not low. I'm not gonna argue about the pay scale. It probably really needs to be looked at, and we need to adjust based on what the state's requiring now. And it's been quite a few years. I have no issues with reviewing the pay scale. All employers lose employees for numerous reasons, and there are numerous reasons why people don't apply for the position. And, you know, I guess just to sit here tonight and say, oh, this is a good thing, let's just do it. I think, you know, if we want to think about doing this, then let's go through the process as we've done in the past. Let's bring the insurance companies back in here, let's analyze it and say, hey, this is what we need to do. The select board's responsibility, folks, is to watch out for the purse strings. This has been thoroughly analyzed, and I'm not, you know, I'm disappointed, Danny, no question about it, because you think we're out of, you know, you think, you know, there's no, you give us this data and stuff, and I am definitely all in favor of doing whatever we can do to retain our employees. And the young ones, of course, they're gonna become more familiar with the town history and everything, and people that come and go. And I think another thing that we should look at if we decide to put this off and really take and analyze everything and really do the proper research rather than just jump on it and do it because, oh, wouldn't it be nice? I think that we really should be looking at the retirement program that's afforded to employees. That's another place that I would like to see potentially some increase from the town, because Social Security, I'm not gonna say it isn't gonna be there, but it probably isn't gonna be there. And I think another part of that process should be, I'm just giving you an overall picture of what I think, how we should look at and analyze the benefit package we're offering our people, is that we should also afford the employees that participate in the retirement program. And I am more than willing to do this. I have no skin in the game. I used to do this for a living. Part of that is I could show people why they absolutely need to do it in the real benefit when you get to your retirement. Why, if you do it, especially if you're young, what that's going to mean for you.
Time value of money.
Yeah, time value of money and how that works. And I'm not sure exactly how our system, other than I know we do some matching and stuff, but I don't know what their investment options are and stuff. And I think that's another thing we should analyze. And then we can say, okay, this is what we should do for our employees, and how much should they pay or shouldn't pay, and you know, what is the pay scale? Are we in line, not in line? Let's really go out there and let's analyze this thing and do it right. That's my view.
Dan?
Just to comment, I appreciate your view. I have not been able to, there may be an analysis out there, I haven't seen it. You know, I don't know where it's at, but I know that you did some analysis, I did some analysis back in the time, 8, 10 years ago. So that's something I'm more than willing to look at. What I did have done though was I looked at lakeside communities in the area, in other areas of the state. Naples, Bridgeton, Rangeley, Reedfield, Manchester, Norway, Oxford, Harrison, and Belgrade. I got a comparison chart for all kinds of stuff, including what they pay for health benefits, what they pay for wages, what they pay for whatever. I'm going to pass those up.
Oh, I think he's going to pass it up.
And that is, it's just something I did over the last few days because I thought, you know, it might be useful to discuss. It might not. Included in this is the population, the family median income, and the full-time population as of 2006. The valuation was as of 2017. Family median income as of 2016 is based on U.S. Census Bureau data. So just taking a quick look at that, I thought that our wages are not as, there are some cases where, yeah, that matches, but in some cases it doesn't. 4 or 5 out of the towns pay full insurance and other benefits. That's not to say that that should have any impact on us. It was just me looking at it and trying to verify what I've heard from other communities, what I'm finding to be true, which is difficult hiring employees. We're at I don't know when the evaluation of the analysis was done for you, but we're at 3.5% plus or minus unemployment, maybe 3.7. I can't remember the exact number. No one can hire anything. I passed out some articles over the last few months about municipal government having trouble with hiring employees and keeping employees. Every day that Anthony works here, that Melanie works here, they're gaining knowledge. I hate to lose them. Right? But I'm not going to say that they've told me they're going to leave, but I've heard rumblings. All right. So whatever they do, right? But it'll cost money to replace them if they do leave, which I hope they don't, and I don't expect them to because they're pretty loyal people. For me, I guess from a gut level, I understand the concern about the taxpayer. I truly do. In fact, most of my career as a town manager and as a legislator, I fought for that. But I believe, this is from the heart, I believe you get the government you pay for, right? Now that's not to say government workers expect more money than private sector or not. But they expect to be treated fairly and be paid competitively, I guess, is the best way to put it. That's my feeling. Now, I don't want to hurt the taxpayer any more than anyone. But I can tell you that I've taken, over the last 6 months, sometimes hours searching for documents that we have no historical memory about. And it takes a lot of time to do some of the research that I'm being asked to do. Just on the dams, it was a difficult time finding a lot of that stuff. And I'm working on a lot more than just dams. But so I guess that's the pitch I make for what I presented. Now, having said that, it's up to you folks to make the determination. I wish we had this discussion, as Ernie said on Saturday. I truly understand where Ernie was coming from. It was kind of unfair for me to put it forward. I thought that we talked about it informally, but absolutely wrong. My assumption was absolutely wrong. And sometimes you assume things and you do exactly what I did, so I made a fool of myself. But having said that, we didn't do it. So tonight's an opportunity to at least look at the proposal, and you do, I mean, we'll live with what you guys put forward, right? I put forward where I thought it should be, based on some of the reasons I told you. We'll see what happens. And I know every one of you are concerned about staff, because I've heard you talk about it. You enjoy the staff, you like the staff, you appreciate them. So I know that. So it's what you're looking at is a very difficult proposal of balancing the needs of the population in terms of a hard-hit taxpayer, and you're trying to balance that need with the employee. I truly get that, and I appreciate that.
All right.
I guess all I'm saying is, I think we need to go through a thorough process of reviewing, not just acting on. Our health, just the health insurance alone, there is some extra bennies in there. But if they go to another town, they got deductibles, they're gonna have to pay, they're gonna have to pay it. How many towns are doing what we're doing? When I say we analyzed this, the select board, not me, the select board, I mean, all the data came in, it was all analyzed, it was all, I didn't analyze it, it was just all presented, and the board, through going through everything, analyzing everything as a board, decided what we had, what we ended up with right now. I'm not saying that it shouldn't probably be reviewed again, but I just disagree with, well, how many mil is this budget increase?
With the increase over last year, the 327. Well, you know that 1 mil.
Well, I can tell you what it is.
No, I can't.
Roughly, yeah. I mean that's all. It doesn't matter. It's
well,
the mill rate that matters when you get your tax bill.
Exactly.
And I know for a fact that the school is going to be a lot bigger than our mill rate increase. So that's another thing that we have to look at and analyze.
Yeah. I did check into the school because I was concerned about that too. And on that, trying to find my calculation here. We don't know what the budget for the school is going to be. We just don't know. Here it is. I had it here someplace. Here it is. The budget itself, the process hasn't gone through, so we don't know. That's extraneous to this. But we do know that there's a $13.9 million bond issue out there, right? So I asked Carl, I says, give me an estimate of what that bond issue will cost next year. Because he said, well, we haven't gone through the analysis. I said, give me a conservative, a high-end estimate. One that will probably be lower, but I want a high-end estimate. So he looked at that, and he said, well, this is assuming conservatively, that we take the $13.9 million bond and we take all the money at once. They don't know that they're going to do that. In doing that, they estimate the fiscal year 19 payment for the RSU to be $423,950. Belgrade's portion of that, you guys know this better than I do, because you worked out, well, probably not better, just as well as I do. 23.94%. And that comes out next year, conservative, high-end estimate of $101,494. Our mill, one mill in this town, because looking at this year's valuation, it was $606 million, but taxable, because a lot of that's nonprofit. Taxable is about 560, roughly, right? So one mill is $560,000. So this represents about a 0.2% increase in the mill rate. Okay? If you were to fund fully the 347, which I don't expect you to fund it fully, but you're going to have to fund a portion of it, right? Because there's things that you know, the new town, unless you say no to the fire director, unless you've already voted for that stuff. That's about 3/5 of the mill, roughly. Right? So that's 6/10 of the mill. So you're talking fully funded with the increase, not counting the school budget, but with the increase for the
Municipal
1 year
budget
loan.
only.
Yeah. Oh, if you're talking about this 26 with municipal budget, fully funded.
There's one thing missing in that analysis. Last year, we got $113,000 from the state, and it's been on the news. They're cutting that back, so we probably won't have that benefit, so that's probably gonna be in there. So you're gonna add another $113,000 in there. It's just, you know, you guys do whatever you want to do. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't care about talking about it anymore, because I am absolutely opposed without going through the right process. We're doing something because wouldn't it be nice? I would rather just give everybody a nice raise. Look at the years. You weren't here, Denny. We didn't give raise. Then we'd give 1%. And you know, the schools up there getting 3% wages to everybody. The state's not getting any raises at all. Social Security is going up. Social Security is going up 2%, but they take 12% for the insurance. People are getting beat up all over the place. You know, they have no choice. But we have no problems in spending their money because we don't. It doesn't hurt us.
We do have problems.
No, we don't have problems, Denny. Obviously, I'm looking at the budget.
Wait, please.
We don't have problems at spending their money. This is a huge increase in this budget, and this is all of a sudden, bang.
The wages and benefits aren't the biggest part of this budget increase. The wages and benefits we're talking about aren't a major part of the budget increase. 340, I tried to give you the analysis here. There are things in here that, you know, we know are going to change potentially based on the vote of the people, right? I mean, the library, you know that you've gone to 2 articles on that. I don't know how that's going to turn out. So if that turns out that 22,000 roughly will be there. I don't know how that's going to turn out. The salt sand shed, you have to pay the debt service on that. That's not something you can avoid. You can avoid the new fire station, the reserve account. I suppose you can avoid that.
We can't avoid it. We need to.
Well, I'm just saying you could. I know you need it. The TAN, that estimate there is based on what we called banks, and they gave us an estimate range. We thought we were being conservative there. That's something you have to pay. It's not because of the employees or anything that's going up. The 40,500, we already talked about dropping that down because of an experience rating, so that won't be that high. Health insurance is an issue that we're talking about, but the town manager, that $20,000 I'll never use, right? I'm not going to take that, right? But That's out there because you have to, if I leave, or if I die of a heart attack, or whatever, God forbid, you need to have something in here to cover a full-time health insurance. Security cages, that's not something that we can, unless you decide to defer that, we can do that. We can defer it. The Belgrade Lakes Village Improvement, that $21,000 extra that we have to put in the fund, that's something you need. We can't defer that. The legal fund, we increased that by $5,000, but we dropped the other funds. But and then the other, you can see what that's composed of. I get it, but when you talk about over the last 5 to 6 years, that you some years you didn't give any percentage, and then you gave 1% or whatever the 2% was. I wasn't here, I didn't experience that, but one could look at that, at this as being a little bit of a catch-up. Maybe it doesn't fully catch them up, but it gives them a little bit. So that's.
I guess my view is, the increases that are preparing for a fire station, which is a good thing to do because we average that in. The increases, you know what the increases were. So now let's just add another big increase, and it's a big increase, by, let's do 100% on the benefits. And to me, it's like, this board in the past has always been very, very good about making sure we didn't have any huge increases in our budget. And we're looking at a big increase. So where did we try to conserve? Why not wait until next year and analyze this and then put, if it works with the select board, that we should go to 90-10 or 100%, then fine. If people are gonna leave because of the health insurance, they're gonna leave because they're gonna leave. But that's not, in my experience, the thing that keeps people is the retirement and a decent wage. And I just, there's no question we could be down on the wages. We've been very frugal in the wages only because that's what was happening everywhere else. So, yeah, it's great to have whatever. We can pay all kinds of money for all kinds of people with experience. We have good people now that are coming along, and if they're gonna leave because there's more money somewhere, I don't think we run the town that way. We shouldn't be.
Well, no, running the town ultimately, I work within the budget that you give me, right? I make recommendations, and that's all I can do.
No, I'm
Gentlemen,
setting
how
up
about some other ideas here, or some other comments, please? Arnie?
Well, how long ago, this is my first year on the board, how long ago was this analysis that you talked about? Does anybody throw that out?
I don't remember it.
It was 4 to 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago.
Rick was on
Yeah.
the board at that time.
So, I'm sensing that, the employment environment has changed a great deal, you could say, in the last 4 or 5 years. And then I had another question. Once upon a time, we paid 100% health insurance. And we dropped it to 80-20.
Well, you actually dropped it a little lower. You went to 60-40, I believe it was. Was it 60-40?
Yes, because it was a set amount for health insurance that the town was picking up year after year. It wasn't a percentage, it was a set amount.
Paying 80-20 now, right?
Right, so then during the budget season last year is when it was changed in the personnel policy to 80-20.
And that's because insurance is going up so much.
Yeah.
We gave raises, and the raises basically offset the increases.
Or decrease.
But that's
So
basically what
last
we
year
did.
was a 2% increase in wages, and it was a 13% increase in health insurance that the employees were picking up. So that's when we changed it to 80-20.
But the thing with the insurance is, and I hope you're hearing this, we have a unique system. It's not just a regular insurance policy where they get to eat the deductible. If I get sick, it's gonna cost me $5,000, and I don't get any subsidies from that. The town is graciously putting in a big chunk of money in there so that they don't have to deal with the subsidy. That has got to have a huge value. And that's the thing. you know, Ernie says times have changed. You know, I guess times have changed, but I listen to the news on a regular basis. Times haven't changed. They're actually worse, and people are being paid. They haven't had any raises. The inflation luckily has been relatively low, very low, and I don't know, I just think we should not rush and go through the process. We go through the process, let's analyze what we have, how does that really compare to other towns? If the other towns have 100%, but they got whatever their deductible is, and we're picking up the deductible, that's a lot of money for each employee potentially. So without going through and analyzing all that stuff, I just think just hand it out because
I don't think anybody wants to hand it out. I think there are 3 proposals on here for raises and for benefits. You're going to give them something in that area, I think, something between 3% and 1% on the pay side, something between 80, 20, and 100% on the other side. Every year we battle this out. This is always a problem. We talk about it. We vote on it. To me, I think it's a little bit simpler than that. I think that the total municipal budget last year was 2.6. Proposed budget this year is 2.9, up about 300,000. Am I right?
Roughly.
Yes, roughly. Within that, 20% of that municipal budget has to do with pay and benefits. There's a huge other part of it that we've been through already. 3.5% unemployment right now. The state can't get people to plow roads. Can't find them. Nobody out there. I think that would roll over into almost any business or any government entity, that people will start looking for the more money, and those organizations that can afford it will start paying more money, and the good people will go there. At least I would. So I guess I don't understand what this would look like, going through and evaluating data to incorporate into what we're doing tonight. I mean, you could go out and poll the other towns to see what they pay, but
That's what this is.
yeah, actually it is there.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just on lakeside communities. I mean, to be fair, it's lakeside communities throughout the state.
Howard,
Gary, you just said 20% represented wages. If
I said 20% of wages and benefits for the municipal budget. I'm told that's what it is.
okay, then could you clarify for me? I'm trying to look at this chart and understand it. If we went with 100% for benefits and 3% for wages, I get a total of $35,000, is that right?
But he's talking about total wages and benefits.
Total.
Which is, if you look at, what was it? 2017, this is not counting the fire department, some wages up in the Center for All Season because they hire, part-time workers.
That's not included on this analysis here.
It's not included because this is full-time, the people that would get these primarily. The fire department, we put the 3% in, it roughly went up 4,000, something like that. Yeah. But this 500,000 for last year, and then you would add whatever the number that you add to that. I think that's what you're referring to, isn't it? The total budget.
Yeah, I think Melanie said it's about.
And that's not counting the offsets, right? It's just raw budget.
Bernie?
as far as the percentage wage increase, I have no issues with that. I don't care what is decided on. As far as the pay scale goes, to me, that needs to be analyzed.
Yeah.
And maybe that we got all kinds of people at the top of the pay scale, so there's an issue with that. I don't know what that arrangement is at this time, but, sitting here, if we want to approve a 3% wage increase, to be doiled out however the department heads so choose, then that is not an issue to me. messing with the other things without doing some serious research, I think is wrong. That's just my opinion.
The other thing, you mean the insurance?
Medical insurance, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's basically just two
Right
tracks.
now, it's 80-20. What's gonna hurt, wait till next year to change that, if it's applicable? You know, why don't we look at what is the real benefit to the employee by us putting in $40,000 a year, so that they, you know, and by, if we analyze it and say, okay, so now the employee still has to pay 20% if they so choose. Now they got skin in the game, but if we're just gonna give them to them, they just take it. And we still put $40,000 into the kitty? I mean, no, I'm just saying that's why we need to analyze. I don't wanna analyze that tonight. We don't have the stuff to do it with, you know. And I guess, if it's a critical thing to the employees, I'd like to see it in writing from them. I mean, really, is that really what keeps you here, is the health insurance? Or is it, do you wanna see better pay and better retirement? You know, that would be the thing to me. Is that,
Quite frankly, if it's me, I would just as soon have my insurance paid and not take a raise this year. That's, health insurance is vital, and I don't, right now, I'm sorry, I'm not sickly. I'm a healthy person. I go for a physical once a year. I pay my copay. I'm done. You know, I mean, God forbid, unless something happens and I have a gallbladder attack or something like that. But to me, insurance is a lot. You know, I don't know about how the others feel.
Yeah, so for me, it's the same way. The only thing I really disagree with that I've heard is that retirement account for me, my generation's gonna work till we die, basically. I've just accepted that. I'm ready to cash mine in right now and just stop taking it. So for me, my generation, I've come to an understanding that you're either gonna make enough money to retire based on what you make, or you're gonna work until you drop, and I'm fine with that. So for me, like, the alternative to not getting 100% coverage tonight, for me, is dropping the health insurance or cashing in my retirement. And that's where I'm at. Because if it stays 80-20, I mean, even a 3% raise is just it's, you know, a 5 or 6 cent raise. I mean, you know, just based on the increase in the health insurance.
I have health insurance. I have she just turned 18 yesterday. And we pay, the town of Belgrade pays for the individual. I cannot afford to put Alexis on my health insurance. I have until June. It was actually cheaper to get Cobra health insurance through another agency and pay monthly through Cobra than it is to actually add to buy health insurance here. So we have asked several of the employees what's more important, raises or health insurance, and every one of them said health insurance is more important because health insurance is very costly.
Good.
I understand that it's not at like a municipal level, it starts above, and things that have gone on in the country have caused the cost of health insurance to skyrocket, and some of us may agree or disagree with the policies in place, but, you know, this is where we're at, so this is kind of what we have, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
One comment on that, and I told staff, as they told me, I said, but, you know, taking health insurance without a raise helps maybe the people that get health insurance. But what about those people that aren't eligible for health insurance, that are permanent employees or part-time? And if there's no raise for them, then, you know, they get hurt. Deanna and I heard Ernie last Saturday, he said something about when we do that review, which I promised to do this coming summer. If you do that review, make sure you do something to make sure that those people at the lowest end, they get, say, a 3%. 3% of $10 isn't the equivalent of 3% of $20. So make sure that you take into account that. So I wrote that down, I understood what you're saying. So that's why I commented to the staff saying, well, what happens to the lower end? You just say to the board, give me health insurance. I tried to come up with an approach that kind of took care of some of the things that had to happen in the past because of the and to provide for some more competitive hiring basis for Belgrade. To keep people like this, and if we lose one, to be able to hire someone. Right now, I put the job notice out on the board for that full-time maintenance person. Did you see the email? We couldn't bring that person on. And we couldn't bring another person on, for the same reason. All right? I can't get anyone. And right now, Reedfield's begging at $16 an hour. All right? It's difficult. It's very difficult. Right now, Gary Foss is suffering. I told him, I said, teach me how to plow. I've never plowed. Right? I'll run the friggin' plow. He can't go out there day in and day out plowing. I'm trying to get someone on board at the $13.50. And guess what? That's $3 above what we were paying the previous guy, who wasn't full-time, but almost full-time. That's $53, and I can't get it.
All right.
Well, I guess, to me, I guess we're gonna try to analyze this tonight, and I would suggest, or I would consider 100% health insurance, no raise. And the people that don't get the health insurance, whatever that benefit increase to them, they get as a raise. So they get it, because these people are gonna get it every year, the health insurance. And that we take and look at health insurance providers to see what the cost would be if we didn't fund it $40,000 in the future, so.
That would be a part of the stuff you're saying this summer we look at that.
Yeah, sometime we would take a look at that and see, you know, if we can get health insurance for XYZ dollars, even though it's a big deductible for the employee, that's, we're putting $40,000 on it now. So, as long as we go down that road, I would be on board with that, and I would be on board with, if we're gonna do the 100%, then it's zero raise.
I wouldn't be on board with that at all.
Well, that's the only thing.
I believe that you have to live too.
Well, they're getting a raise, Danny, because right now, that's coming out, doesn't that come out of your pay every
Yeah.
single paycheck for the health insurance? That's a raise, that's money you're gonna get to take home. So that is a raise.
I guess I'm gonna put a little history into this, when we did this too. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. We asked for that to be put out to bid. Get some.
For the health insurance?
The health
Yeah.
insurance. And we had an employee here that didn't wanna do that. It never happened. And I think the reason is because the person was sick. But that's just my opinion. I had insurance guys calling me because they saw it in the paper that we was doing it, and said they've got a lot of towns that they've got at a lesser rate, more benefits, but it never happened because they wanted to keep, I think, through the MMA, am I correct? Is that what you guys did?
But we went through Northern Benefits and got an analysis through Northern Benefits before
This fall.
and this is the second year that we've got something from Northern Benefits, and it was a lot more money. It wasn't even comparable to MMA to go to another
But-
insurance carrier.
Sometimes,
No,
let me go back.
That's
Yeah, it's another thing, but that's what happened, why it didn't go out to bid, okay?
I don't know.
Well,
Well, I hear what you're saying.
I don't wanna get into too deep, but, I think you should be putting this out to bid. I don't think you should be with MMA all the time. You know what, throw it out there, what's it gonna,
We can do that, it's too late this year, but.
well, I
we
know
can do
that, but
next year.
that's, I've asked for that a couple,
Well.
3
we'll get
years.
it.
Well, I just think it's good business, keeps people honest. And you know what, there may be a better program out there than what they've got. That's just,
We went and looked at the other one because we understood from some of the messaging that was going on the main town and town managers and city clerks website. People were looking into Northern Benefits and some other alternatives.
I'll give you.
So we went out with that, and that's why we were looking at it, but it just didn't come in.
I'll give you the guy's name, it's Tide Insurance, it's Dick Scott. He asked to come in here a couple times and talk.
What's his name?
Dick Scott,
Dick?
Dick. And it never happened.
Guy didn't come in?
No.
No, they, they kept coming up with
Is this
it.
for health insurance?
Yes. And for, well, the whole insurance policy, it was everything. Town liability and all that stuff too.
Would we get that on an annual basis? Is that what we do?
I mean, there's other ones out there. I mean, I've been looking for insurance, I just picked up some. Whether it's any good or not, how do I know? I got a $6,500 deductible that I got paid. No, there's no fund set aside to take it out of, but it's my choice, is what I decided to do. So, with the school, I had 100%.
Augie?
Well, that's, putting that out to bid, putting workers' comp out to bid, I mean, those are all great plans for next year. I mean, it's too late this year to do anything about that, so I would concur with that, to make that happen for next year. Because we're gonna revisit this next year. Insurance costs, you know, if we can extrapolate, they're gonna continue to go up, so anything we can do to cut those costs, whatever they are, it's worth a look, I agree. But getting back to the topic at hand.
Ernie? Tell me you're not leaving.
Have fun. That's official.
Taxpayers overvote.
We're not screwing the taxpayers.
You are too, don't tell me that.
That's not true at
I
all.
see the numbers, no, everybody comes in here, who's done the data? Nobody ever has the data. I have to be the asshole in the room. I am resigning as of right now, it's the 13th, I am all done. I'm not wasting my time. You can't wait to spend the money. I used to work for a phone company, we paid 100%. When I left there, it was 50-50 on the health insurance. You know, it's just the way it is.
We're still having a discussion.
It doesn't, I don't care what the discussion is.
All right, thank you
Vote
very
any way
much,
you want,
yes.
have your vote.
Thank you very much.
I already know how it's going. Have fun.
Gentlemen,
Well, where do we go from here? I'm sure that's the way to handle things, but,
What was the proposal he made about, because he had said go with 100%, then no raises, is that correct?
100% of the medical, no raises.
Yeah.
Except for, didn't he talk about something, a wage increase for those that weren't eligible?
Not eligible for
Yeah.
insurance, and you
oh, I have a question. So, in looking at the HRA amount of 40,500, we've already discussed that could be cut.
Yeah, we would drop that down to what, 40% of that would be 16.2, I think it is, 40% of 45 is about 16.
And then the 3% wage increase and ancillary increases is 20,097. So if we bring that down to 16, and we do the 3% wage increase, we're still less than the $40,000 amount. So we're saving.
Well, that's just on that one side, it's not
Yeah.
talking about the health insurance.
Yeah, but I'm just saying overall, if all the money's coming out of the pot, so to speak, you know, there is.
Reducing the increase. It's
Yeah.
hard to call that a savings.
Well, I mean, we're reducing the increase. I mean, I'm just trying to, you know, looking at each box here, I mean, we've already talked about, well, the fire and rescue, yeah, we really need that. The sand and salt shed, yeah, we really need that. The CEO wages, we've agreed that needs to be increased. The library is gonna be up to the town. The TAN has to happen. We can cut the HRA. And then, you know, we just, you know, the health insurance will have to, I think we're, you know, almost in agreement that, you know, we really need to do something about that, but,
There's other ways to.
I don't know, I mean, there's, we can nickel and dime some of this other stuff on the other page, but we've already talked about, you know, the skid steer needs repairs, you know, there isn't too much, we can change, you know, I don't know, I mean, you know, we're gonna have to make some decisions here and stand up for why. Or we can all throw our hats in the air and resign overtime tonight too. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, you know?
If I can, there are, as you say, you can mess with the numbers. There are certain things that have to be done. That's what I was trying to point out with the spreadsheet that I talked about, the first part of the opening. There are some things you can do here, and we've already done something with the CEO wages, but even that was kind of, you're gonna want the new fire station, you're gonna want to pay the debt service on the salt sand shed. We increased 14,000 on the CEO. The tan, I don't know what it's gonna come to, but that's our best guess right now. We can drop that at the town meeting.
But even the fire department, like, I mean, at town meeting, they may cut that in half when they see the increase that we've got.
They may, I'm just saying, but those are the things that you voted to allow to go forward.
We didn't vote yet.
Well, you nodded to allow, I get that. But what I'm saying is, there are a couple other things that I want to make you aware of. In the revenues, in that one place where we add up, excise taxes and all of that, to come up with offsetting revenues, in the past, we've kind of analyzed that and gone through and figured out what can we accept in that. I shouldn't say, Melanie came forward and looked at the 5-year summary on the motor vehicle excise tax. We've been roughly over 800,000 a year for the last 5 years, roughly, 4 years. Near, let me put 800,000. We said that we were going to take 700,000 to offset the budget. You could raise that to 750 if you wanted to offset more from the excise taxes. That's one thing you could do.
Boat excise tax.
And the boat excise tax, 50% of that goes toward the.
So I do have another question. We've talked about the 80%, we've talked about the 100%. How come we haven't talked about the 90% at all? Why wouldn't we go with the 90%?
Seems to me that's a good idea.
And until we do the analysis on this and find out
The
what.
90-10, yes.
I've been hammering and hawing that, and I probably should have said that for Ernie. I'll tell you what, whether you guys know or not, you lost a guy that does a lot of,
He does a lot
Yeah,
of.
he does.
and we're gonna miss him because he does have his homework done. He's got the time to do it. I don't have the time. I mean, I drive down the road and I'm thinking about this stuff all the time and come up with dangerous thoughts, to put it plain. But I would think maybe that's what we'd look at, the 90-10, and until we have the analysis done and.
It gives them a break on their medical insurance.
and
Then are we still thinking about the 3%? Are we gonna do 90-10 and the 3%?
I think that's a.
No, I think Dennis has a different way of allocating those raises than has been done in the past. They've been done as a cost of living raise at the beginning of the year. I think Dennis has a different idea on that. Am I correct? Or?
Well, as I understand it, and you guys have told me, in the past, the 1%, the 2% has always been looked at by the then town managers, right? As a cost of living increase. It was handed out at the beginning of the year. Everyone got a cost of living at 2%. When I was here as a former town manager, we allowed for up to a 5% raise, but it was based on performance. Right?
I was gonna bring that up.
So,
It was supposed to be, we've talked about that for every year I've been on the committee.
but that's not the way it's been handled.
Well,
I know it is.
I'm not saying it wasn't talked about, I'm just saying, based on what I understand from staff, it wasn't handled.
So that means that 3% doesn't all get,
No,
Spent right up
gets
front.
across the year.
it's up to, what we usually do is approve up to either 3% or
it
whatever.
was up to based on review.
Right.
Yeah, based on review.
Yep.
So, in the past, well, I won't bring that up until next summer.
Okay, but I think that's what we ought to do. If you're gonna do the raises, it ought to be, if we're gonna set 3% as a maximum, it's up to 3%, providing the performance
Yeah.
results. And I don't think it ought to start at the beginning of the year, it's whenever you do the
That's
evaluation.
Yep. Whenever the evaluations come due,
That's,
it's tied to that 3%. It may be 2%, it may be 1%.
Maybe 1,
Maybe
yeah.
0 if the
Maybe
employees,
or maybe three.
Is that seems fair, is that?
Well, that's the way I was gonna run it anyhow.
Well, that's
I
what it
already
should
told
have
you
been.
that.
That's the way you're
That's
gonna
what
run it?
should have been done, I think.
Yeah.
well, let's go back to the 90-10. Who else has got some? You two are light on comments here.
I go for 90-10, with the understanding that next summer we're gonna look at the whole mill. Because I'd like, if it can be justified, I'd like to give 100%.
How does that compare with your other towns here? Is it nice to like Naples with 90-10? 100%.
But again, you know what, I really don't
Towns are
care what
different.
other towns are doing, it doesn't matter.
Well, because then, if you're competing against them for the.
Just comparison's
If
sake,
you-
that's all.
So somebody's gonna go from here to Bridgeton?
No, but you might be trying to get somebody from Bridgeton to come here.
Yeah, that's okay, Joe.
How about Reedfield, might be coming from Reedfield, that's what.
That, I'd probably be against that.
Well, we're having a hell of a time trying to hire anybody right now. I mean, it's.
No, and you know what, it's not just here,
Yeah.
it's every place.
Well, that's
So I
it.
mean, and it doesn't matter whether you, well, you can see, the state's got pretty decent insurance and they can't get anybody.
That's because it's 3.5%.
That,
And people,
But-
and the other thing is.
But they're
it's
also, remember, the state trying to induce people to come, they're offering $1,000 bonus, they're offering full benefits, they're offering, there's a complete package, they're trying to induce people coming.
The other thing is, why do people wanna work? There's too many easy bennies out there.
Well, thank you, Ricky.
I mean, it's, what,
Thank you.
the real story of the matter is, and nobody wants to do physical work. So,
well.
I got it in a nutshell.
If I can get the state to pay me and I don't have to work, I'll be a happy camper.
Well, getting back to the topic. again,
Yes.
So, we're just here to talk, to vote on the wages and the benefits. Is that it in this meeting?
It was
We're not
a
really-
discussion meeting for wages and benefits only, yes.
So, how do you feel about, Danny, how do you feel about 90-10?
Well, like I said, I proposed the full package.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's up to you, you have to take other concerns, I tried to take those into account, but you have other concerns to take, so, you know, the staff is going to obviously get what you say they get.
It's a start.
And that it is a start moving toward a different approach. You started last year.
Well, the idea that this summer you're gonna take a look at
Everything.
and put the medical out to bid, I don't know what it's gonna look like by next year.
Well, not just medical, but the complete insurance.
You know,
Should be.
the insurance package, yeah.
Yeah.
That review should happen.
Possibly.
We should do that every year.
You throw it a big slot, you can draw.
Budget committee? A 1?
You're not, remember, it's not a formal vote, it's just to get us to the point where you're going to next Tuesday. Be voting.
See a downside? See a downside?
I guess my biggest reaction is just from my own personal history and I haven't seen 100% insurance benefits for a long time. But if that's, you know, we have 3.5% unemployment is gonna affect things.
Well, I think we're talking 90-10, which is a slight move from where it is now, it's going towards 100.
Last 20 years of my teaching, I would have been very happy if I'd had a 90-10.
What were you reading?
90-10.
Well, now, let's take into account, you know, the eyewitness reports here from our employee staff on hand. I mean, they'd almost rather do without the 3% and just go with 100%. So they would, maybe instead of, you know, splitting hairs and doing 90-10 and, you know, 3%, I mean, we don't do the 3%, we just do the 100%.
The only,
Are they typical of all the other employees?
I haven't talked to them.
I'm still having a hard time with the 20% number that you used, Gary, and
20% of the total municipal budget is wages and insurance or
okay,
benefits.
okay.
Total municipal.
Of this $345,000 increase,
No,
no,
2.9 is what we're projecting as a municipal budget this year, 2.9 million.
right,
Of that, 20% is wages.
yes, okay, I got that.
And it's rough,
Okay, I got that. But when I asked the question about whether the increase would be the 18,512 if we went to 100% insurance, I thought you said something about that doesn't include all of the people who were impacted by insurance costs. There
Yeah, I think you said that.
a significant number of other people.
That's
In other words, I'm trying to get a handle on what it, if you said a maximum increase as a review of salaries of 2% and 100% benefits, what kind of money difference are we talking about? Because if this 18,512 doesn't represent the total cost of insurance for all the employees, then does the $6,788 represent the increase of 2% max wage increase, or are there wages that are not included in that?
Everybody that is entitled to health insurance is on here. The only ones that are not included are the summer staff that the rec center hires.
That's minimum wage,
Okay,
And then they're not insured.
and they're not insured, and that's in their budget already.
okay, so the 18,512 is a top number for insurance for all the people who qualify for it. Okay,
Not everybody takes health insurance, but that is offered, if we offer to everybody, that's what the total is going to be.
okay. So the difference, the difference between 2% max and 3% max is $10,000?
It's fairly small.
Am I doing that right?
Yep.
So if you said a maximum of 2% increase in wages and 100% health insurance, that's less money than going 90-10 and 3%, isn't it? You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If the attraction to the employees is full benefits for the insurance, can they be happy with 2% max for a
Oh, 2% raise
2% raise, 2% max raise,
and 100%.
100%
And
insurance?
the difference between those insurance between 90-10 is only $8,000. I mean, it's a pretty small amount of money. I understand what you're saying, yes.
Yes. But I'm also trying to reflect the 90-10.
Yeah,
I mean, 90-10 and 3%, it's gonna cost the town less money to go 100% and 2% max.
yep.
You follow what I'm saying?
I got you.
Unless I'm doing my math wrong.
Is he doing his math wrong?
Right thing.
And if that would be more desirable to the employees, why would it be undesirable to the town?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, should we put a motion on the floor for that, or?
Please do.
What do you think, Rick?
Oh, explain that again. I'm not coming up with the same numbers, but
Okay, let's go over it again.
let's do the numbers, Howard, how you did it.
2% raise, 100% insurance.
But if you go 2% raise, that's different on everybody's salary, just like Denny said to begin with. It's 2% on $10 is less than 2% on $20. So how do we come out with a true number?
Because if I collapse down an actual column that has what everybody's current pay is.
Okay.
So the 2% is based on everybody's current pay.
So, based on all the different salaries.
So the 2% is right there, okay,
Yeah.
so we're talking,
So this is the exact amount for every one of these employees.
Okay, so we're. in
The
the
total
first-
difference, if everybody got a 2% raise, the total difference to the budget this year would be 6788, right?
No, that's, the 6788 is for the 1%, the 2% is 11,496.99.
yeah.
I see.
Where's the 2.5? Oh, that's 14?
Yeah, 14.
I'm
and then
sorry,
the
okay.
3% is
I was trying to
75 cents.
follow that when you were talking.
Okay,
She was
okay.
saying yes, I was saying wait a minute.
I'm missing the wrong column.
It
I'm working
didn't
on
come
the wrong
out right,
column.
and that's why I,
Okay, yes.
All right. So now where are we at?
Okay, so 2% would be 11,496.
you're talking
$96.99.
$4,709 more. Right, oops, no. I did that.
Versus,
Hang on, I did that, yeah.
2.5% would be 11,496.99. 2%.
see, no, you're reading it wrong
It's
too.
wrong column.
Oh, yeah,
How
wrong
can I read
column.
it the wrong column?
Hey.
And here, this is. the-
Oh, I
So
see.
that
Okay.
1%, here's
And
2%.
then here's 1% difference. Here's 2%.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
In terms of 30%.
okay, I got it.
16.
I got it, I got it.
5,
That's why I was wondering, if you were saying yes, I'm
17
saying, I'm going to
minus
get one column.
Sorry.
So the 6788 is 1% or 2%?
1.
1%.
Okay.
And the column before that,
That's-
that little thin column,
right.
represents in the column.
So it's
a percent
4,000.
increase in terms of cents per hour.
Oh, I get it, okay.
So the difference between a 2% max raise and a 3% max raise is $5,021, right?
Yes. I'll agree to that.
And the difference between 90-10 and 100 is no, 7,000?
7,500. Maybe 8,500, I'm sorry.
So we seem to be arguing here between 2% and 90-10. Or actually 2% and 100%.
No, 2% and 100,
And
And
3% and 90-10.
it's $2,500 difference.
Well,
I'm sorry, I was looking at, I got my columns.
When you were talking, I was saying, he's looking at different columns than I am.
I was. Sorry about that. So it is, so going 2% max raise and 100% insurance is gonna cost the town about $2,500.
2,500?
No, because you're going from 80-20, which is $7,520, just in the difference between,
Well, 90-10, you were talking
90-10
90-10.
and the 100%.
The difference between 90-10
And
and
100%.
100%
Yes.
is
7,507,
7520.
right.
And the difference between 2% and 3% is 5,021.
Right.
So it's gonna cost $2,500 to do the 2% and 100 versus the 3% and 90-10.
Oh, maybe that way, I didn't figure that way.
So he's, a little bit more discussion here. I want Ricky to be comfortable. I hate for Ricky to be uncomfortable.
I know, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right, it's an additional 2,500, like you're saying right now.
Right,
Yeah, okay, I got what you're saying.
is that,
That's what I'm.
am I looking at the right columns?
Yeah, I'm roughly calculating it in my
Yep.
head, it's about 25.
7520 minus 5,021.
That's not really a true number though. Sounds good.
Well, because, yeah,
Not everyone's gonna
you're
get
not
it.
gonna get an absolute number out of that, I don't think.
The other thing is, I'm not gonna take insurance, I got insurance. I know a couple people who are gonna take insurance, right?
I understand that.
So that'd be potentially a little lower.
Well, you can't count on it, because if I die tomorrow, right,
We have to
then
add
you're
something
gonna have to
else.
hire yourself.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but we're only gonna pay them half of what they're paying you.
Yeah.
You'll pay
See what you get.
You'll pay what I'm worth, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that obvious.
No, I read your mind well.
So, okay, Okay, with the taxpayer in mind, what do we want to do?
I guess I'm in favor of just doing the 100%. That's not doing an percentage increase right now.
No pay increase.
No pay increase. But is that, are we just talking about this pay increase, or are we talking about across the board, the whole town?
Well, that's, yeah, it would be
It
across.
would be
the board.
everybody,
Yeah, that's.
and bear in mind that that any increase in pay goes across the year as their individuals are evaluated and determine whether they're gonna be somewhere between 0 and 3% increase in their pay. So that number is probably gonna be less than it is.
In other words, the entire staff was hired in September. The cost of that would be 25%.
Yes.
If they were
Expect
hired in
anything to-
January
yes.
1, the cost would be full.
Okay, so one question, so the difference between the $20,000 figure you have on the other list, which is 3% wage increase and ancillary increases, and the $16,000 figure here, is the hourly employees elsewhere in the.
No, that's, you mean, I'm trying to, the difference between,
So you have
I have a $20,097
Yeah.
wage increase based on 3%.
yeah.
Did I put the right number in?
Well, then on Melanie's list over here of all the employees, or the number of the full-time employees, if we went 3%, it's 16,5.
Yeah.
Because we don't have those rec employees that are on
In
in
the
the
fire
summer,
department.
in the fire, we have
The
the
fire
fire
department.
department here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we got those increases.
so those are added in.
Yes, that's right.
Well,
Isn't that what I asked before? So the 18, so the 3% increase at 16,517 does not include everybody. Got to add another 20,000 to that for a 3% increase across the board?
Just
What's
need-
the 20,797?
No, remember what I said earlier, that there were a couple exceptions about what was in the analysis? The fire department, they get paid, whatever they get paid, I don't even remember. We put a 3% increase in their budget, and that's added up to, what, 6,000?
6,000.
We would, whatever you do here, we would drop that to whatever you do here. They don't get health insurance. So she was just looking at what we could calculate, because we don't know what those people are gonna, who's gonna come, when they're gonna come, how many are gonna come to these fires. It's almost impossible to kind of assess that, right? So it was a bulk.
What does the 20,097 represent?
The 16,517 plus a little extra to cover the fire department and the rec center.
the hourly employees.
Right.
Yeah. Just for the rec center and the fire department?
Everybody else is on, well, Lily and Phil are permanent employees that are on this list.
Yeah.
But they have like the summer help.
Okay, this is the summer, so you're saying, okay, all right. I'm
We're just trying to,
Okay, this is a summary sheet of this other one.
yeah.
And you're
Just
saying
trying to
that in
petition.
addition to the 16, there's another $3,000 to $4,000 of
Roughly, yeah.
what might be fire and others.
What is the national average right now for raises?
Pay increases, I looked at that, actually, I was going to print it off, but I didn't think you would ask that question. But if you look at it, it's, this year it's 3% across the, I think it's the city municipal sector.
What is it under the government?
That's national.
Nah, yeah,
You're asking questions now, I should have printed it off.
because we're more,
Yeah, this is an average, Maine is not.
It's hard to compare Belgrade with San Francisco.
oh, I know, and it's not, I mean, I know that.
No,
Thank
that's
God.
why I didn't
Thank
think.
God, that's
I didn't think
right. That's why
national
some of
averages
us are
was
here.
gonna be helpful for you guys, but I could have brought it up. I did look it up.
Well, we know social security is 2%. We heard that tonight.
Oh, that's,
Right.
yeah, and,
Well, in Medicaid went up 13.
yeah, I was saying, kiss that goodbye, because Medicaid's gone right through the roof.
See, this is the kind of thing that they were facing over the past years, as you know. I mean, you guys
what did we do last year? Did we do any percentage?
2%, and it was
Everybody
considered a
did.
cost of
Yeah.
living, and they got it at the beginning of the year.
I'm gonna get back to this increase process over the last few years. Every discussion that I have heard has involved an employee performance review and an up-to number. And apparently what has happened is, across the board, whatever the maximum was, has been given out, and that kind of terminated at that point. Now, if you had to guess off the top of your head, if you're gonna do it, if I'm understanding you, you're saying you'll do it with the concept of performance-based in mind. Of all of the employees, and I'm not asking you to pick out any one, because there are obviously some here, would you say that if there was up to 3% blessing by the town, would you say that typically 80% of the people would get 3%? 40% of the people would get 3%? How much of that 3% is actually gonna be used?
If it's up to 3%, it's hard for me to tell you because it's employee performance based.
I understand.
And we have, Lily's a new employee, Cheryl's a new employee.
Well, what criteria would you be using? I
I use
mean,
the performance review.
a new employee could be performing at 125%.
Well, that's exactly right, they deserve. It's really, it's hard for me to give you an answer on that. Could I say 80%? I've seen a lot of good work being done on it, so.
You're probably closer to 80%, I guess.
But you have to remember, on that number, that's calculated for the full year for a reason, right? You'll probably use 70% of that if everyone got a 30% raise.
Just because of the time of
Because of
review?
the time of hire.
Don't get them all at the same time.
Okay, gentlemen.
Budgets are notoriously difficult to do on these issues.
Give me guidance.
Well, do you wanna vote on the benefit change first, or do you wanna vote, do we wanna do it separately, or do we wanna do it together, or like,
I think,
what do you wanna do?
look,
Want my motion?
yeah, give me the motion.
I'll make a motion that we do the 90-10 for this year, and let her do the study to see what there is out there with up to a 2.5% increase.
90-10 with a 2.5% increase. Do I hear a second?
Up to.
Up to. I'll second that. Is there more discussion on it?
Are we gonna vote on anything else?
If we vote on this and then it passes, then that's what we're gonna do.
Well, maybe
So what's the difference there?
maybe we should start with,
The re-
can we start with 100% with no, can we vote on that first and then see where that goes?
No, we have a motion on the floor and it's been seconded.
You can amend it.
You can amend the motion.
Can I amend the motion? Can I amend your motion?
You have to get a second.
Yeah, you gotta get a second on it.
I'd like to amend the motion that we vote on 100% health benefits with no increase in percentage.
Do I hear a second? Dies for lack of a second.
Okay.
So we're back with the original 2.5% increase and the proposed benefits at 90-10. And I think with the stipulation, you do a review and then next year have a little better basis to gauge it on, so. Any more discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor? And it's unanimous. You can vote.
And I want to thank you.
no, I just wanted to bring a couple things to your.
Before you do that, can I just have a second? I want to thank you, employees. I'm not trying to cut you, but I just think we need to do this the proper way. And I hope you're satisfied with a little bit.
Thank you.
So, I just wanted to remind you that between now and next Tuesday, we're gonna be giving you rewrites. We want input back. Because next Tuesday, when you go voting, that'll be votes on, I'd hate to see a lot of changes then. That's number one. Number two, I may in fact, because you haven't voted, I may push the $700,000 in revenue from excise taxes up to $750. I don't know if that's a big problem for you guys or not. And we may include the 8,000 plus or minus, we'll take a certain amount from the road excise tax to offset
Taxes,
yeah. Input that in, okay? So we'll give you those numbers and I'll send you an email letting you know what we're doing. The final thing is that I want to talk about, it will be a vote, and I want to make you aware of it. There'll be a vote at the next board meeting that you need to vote whether you want to open or close. That's capped, a warrant. You've always closed your warrant. It's exclusively in the domain of the select board to cap all warrant articles. That means you can't increase them on the floor, you have to decrease. So I would encourage you to vote to cap. Because otherwise it becomes, you've done it every year that I know of.
I never voted on
I
that.
don't remember voting on it.
I know when I was here before you voted on it, because I made sure.
I did, I must have forgot, because I don't remember.
We haven't voted on it the last
No.
3 years,
But
but it
it
has
is-
been capped generally.
Yeah, because
We
you,
never-
the understanding is that you do,
Yeah,
I think the moderator says that at the meeting, doesn't he?
because he understands that you cap it.
But we never did.
But I know when I was here, you voted for it, because I made sure. The final thing is you have to vote to accept.
okay, I am resigning as of 13th December from the select board, Ernie Rice, 12/13/217. Can I get a motion to accept that, please? And a second? I'll second it.
There's no, we're not gonna get him to take it back.
No, he won't take it back.
I don't know, if you-
Is it worth tabling this for now?
I would think maybe you ought to, because I think maybe we're on the right track where he was gonna go with this.
Yeah, I just had a feeling he just jumped the gun and.
Well, he's frustrated. This isn't the first time.
Yeah.
And
I
he's
mean, he
frust-
said himself when we were at that Saturday meeting, he said he hates to nickel and dime every town thing.
Yes.
Because you know you're gonna get hit over the head by the school budget and whatever, and this, especially with this $13.9 million thing.
It is what it is. It's
And,
gonna
but
be-
yet, that doesn't negate the fact that we have to do what the town needs done. You know, what the town, what's best for the employees of the town, what's best for the fire department, you name it. And, we're doing, I think we're doing the right thing.
We have to balance those two issues.
Yeah, we're asking the town if they want the library to go full-time. I mean,
That's right.
we're doing the right thing there, I mean, because, and so, if we didn't have this school increase every single year over our heads, this wouldn't be a really,
I think Howard had a comment.
Well, you've got a motion on the floor, and it's not regarding the motion, but it is a question I need to ask you before we adjourn.
Go ahead.
Okay. Based on the activity last Saturday, as a budget committee member, am I to understand that it's being interpreted that virtually everything that was on there is okay with the select board?
With the nods, I've got the ones that.
The
We
no-
have
the
not
nods
voted
are-
on it. All we've said is, yeah, we agreed with it.
May-
You can disagree at that meeting.
Yeah. The vote doesn't come till next meeting.
I understand that.
But even the vote, it doesn't make any difference because it's going to go before the voter, probably.
It's
Well,
happened.
no, if you vote, if you don't, you have to vote to approve an article to be in there.
Yes, yes.
If you don't vote to approve the article, it doesn't go in, it never gets before the people.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's the vote of the article, then there's the recommend or not recommend. And what I'm sensing is a recommend for $345,000 in increase. And I'm just trying to get a handle on whether I'm reading something wrong, or
There will be changes to that, based on the wages and benefit.
let's say it's 300,000. I mean, is that what,
That's what
is
I
that the
heard.
feeling that came out of Saturday's meeting?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Again,
Did you get a different feeling?
No, no, because we didn't have a chance to say, I mean, it was pretty much okay,
Yeah. We were just basically okaying the template for a budget.
recognizing that things would change based on.
Okay, let's go back, we have a motion on the floor.
Can I just say one thing, Paul?
Yes.
Can I recommend we table this, and maybe Denny ever talk with him about this, but, or, I mean, I'm calm.
No, I don't have a problem talking
I
to
just-
him, but I love Ernie, I mean, I think he's a great guy. We have a philosophical difference here, and I mentioned that Saturday, that we have a philosophical difference. Doesn't mean he's wrong, it doesn't mean I'm right, it just means that we have a philosophical difference, and that was something that, I don't know whether it would be of value for me to talk about this particular issue with him. I'm more than willing to.
I just think we need to let the water settle a little bit and, let him have a little time to think about it, because I'm telling you what, he's a big asset to this board, and whether you believe it or not.
I do believe it.
I mean, I get a lot of stuff out of him that when he does his analysis and his background checks and all that, because he brings up stuff that I didn't recognize, or realize, I guess I should
Do you want to
say.
withdraw your motion? Or do we want to table this?
I'll make a motion to table.
Yes, that's good.
You second that?
I'll second it, yeah. All those in favor of tabling? Yeah.
Thank you.
Kick myself to say that, is there any, is value on this?
Ricky is going to call.
Denny, is there anything
I'll
new,
talk to
Denny,
him, but-
is there anything new in here?
No,
Did you change anything?
so we're going to start going through, when we vote tonight, things will be pushed out.
Are we
Okay,
done?
so you're gonna,
So the wages and stuff will all change, as you know.
all right, so you're gonna put in new pay, new,
We're going to have the books changed.
Are you gonna add that to the,
We'll have a bottom line.
are you gonna add, is this,
All of this, you know-
designation letter gonna come up at our next meeting?
It's tabled for right now, and see what,
Yeah.
I'll have it on the agenda for next meeting if you wish.
We see Ernie here next Tuesday.
Are you looking for a motion to adjourn?
I am.
I'll make that motion.
Well, second, we adjourn, all those in favor, we're good.
All right. So shut that thing off a minute.
Is that shut off?
No, I don't know.
unplug it. Unplug the microphone.
Look at this way, didn't
Is
it?
it off?
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Is this in here?
Yep.